Everyone seems to enjoy Bible study of little-known people in the Bible. Getting harder and harder to find little-known people. And tonight we got a kind of collection. But overall, this is a little-known person. We're going to look at several scriptures. I don't know, we can't read it all. Time does not permit us to do that. But what do I want to look at? I want to look at 2 Samuel chapter 2. We're all going to turn together. Now, 2 Samuel chapter 2 through chapter 16 chronicles the story of the life of this particular person. Then it goes over to the book of Kings. This is long after her husband has died. 1 Samuel chapter 2. 2 Samuel chapter 2. Don't listen to me. 2 Samuel chapter 2. Just the first 3 verses. And then we'll go to some other scriptures and share. Okay? Now, pay attention to the words of the last verse of chapter 1. How are the mighty fallen and the weapons of war perished? You should underline those words, how are the mighty fallen, because they are prophetic concerning what you are about to read, which is the most celebrated story in the Old Testament. And it came to pass after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go up. And David said, Where shall I go up? And he said, Unto Hebron. So David went up, and he 2 wives, Ahinoam, and Jezreel, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, of Carmelite. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. Then chapter 3, verse 1. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Okay? Then in verse 12, chapter 12, verse 10. I need to go back to the close. We read chapter 12, verse 10, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Chapter 12, verse 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me, and taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. I need to find the scripture. Let me see. Oh, I don't have it wrote down. 12:10. That's what we just read. Go back a little further. Come on, where is it? I thought I had it wrote down. Okay, anyway, I just want to read one little verse for you. Don't go nowhere. Okay, chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. Okay, that's where we need to be. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle. Kings go forth to battle. What was David? King. Okay. Huh?
He was a king, but he didn't go to battle.
All right. At the time when kings go forth to battle, David sent his captain Joab and his servants with him and all Israel to destroy the children of Ammon and besiege Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. Now, so he wasn't doing what he was called to do, and that was to lead his people into battle. He said, Joab, I'm tired, you go on. And it came to sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? So therefore now you know the little known personage that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about Bathsheba. Okay? The most celebrated story in the Old Testament. The most celebrated story in the New Testament is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But everybody that's anybody knows the story of David and Bathsheba. Now, David was absolutely the epitome of someone who loved God. Read all the history about him, read the Psalms and all that he wrote. But he has this one blot on his life, and that was the sin that happened between him and Bathsheba. Now, we know all about David. And in order to find out about Bathsheba, we're going to have to chronicle David's events up until the end. But what we want to look at and focus on is tonight is the life of a lady by the name of Bathsheba. She came from a godly family, the family of Elam. She had 5 children. I don't know if the baby had a name. Does anybody know that? Maybe in your trivial questions you might find that answer. That died. The first child died. The second child was Solomon. And then the third child was Adonijah. Okay?
Were these all children between...
They were all children. Had 5 children with David. Bathsheba had 5
before
children.
that.
Huh?
None before that.
There's none in the kingships. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Okay. Anybody know? He had other wives, other wives and children by those wives, but I don't know if he had any before them or not. But anyway, turn over with me to the book of 1 Kings. Let me see if I can find these scriptures. 1 Kings 1 and 2 and 2 Samuel 11 and 12. Let's look at 1 Kings 1 and 2, and we'll read a couple of verses here. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to do that for a purpose, okay? Now, at this particular time, David's sin had already been paid for dearly. Remember the phrase, 2 phrases, how art the mighty fallen? David is going to fall from some very lofty heights down to as low as you can get. And then the phrase where God put a sentence upon him and said, the sword will never depart out of your house. From that point on, after the sin that he committed to Bathsheba, there's tragedy after tragedy, heartache after heartache that occurs in the hearts and lives of King David and all of his family. Look with me on the first verses of chapter 1, first 2 to 3 verses. Now King David was old and stricken in years. They covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, let her stand before the king, let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shumanite, and brought her to the king. Now, she's very important. At this particular time, she became one of the concubines of King David. Okay? Now, then verse 31 of the same chapter. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, let my lord King David live forever. And the king David said, call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king. And the king also said unto them, take with you the servants of your lord, and call Solomon my son, and ride on my own mule to bring him down to Gihon. And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him there king over Israel. Blow ye with the trumpet and say, God save King Solomon. Now, so what has happened is King David is about to die. Okay? His body heat is going from him. He's old, he's senile, he's leaving this world. And Bathsheba, who is our focus tonight, says, let's make Solomon. Now, there was a question of which 2 sons would be the kingship. The first one to die, but the next 2 is Solomon and Adonijah. Okay? Now remember, his other 2 sons are already dead, Amnon and Absalom. Remember how Absalom had tried to take the kingdom. Okay? That was from another bride. So I guess that answers your question, Bruce. That was they were prior to the relationship that she had, or Bathsheba David. Look at chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Now the days of David drew nigh, that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the ways of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. So that was his last words to King Solomon, and we know all what took place. Now, what is going to transpire here is that Adonijah wants to be king. Okay? Now, he's going to bow to the fact that Bathsheba doesn't want him to be king. But he does make one request. You remember the relationship that he had with the concubine. So Adonijah makes a request, a simple request, that I would like to have the concubine that David had. Okay? Because she must be fair to look on and whatever. And he makes that request. However, when the request gets to King Solomon, the words have changed. And Solomon gets mad about it. Look at verse 13 through 18. Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, Comest thou peacefully? And he said, Peacefully. See, why peacefully? Because he was irate. I want to be king, and he could have caused a disturbance. He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto thee. Now remember, this is Bathsheba's son. And there's friction because she wanted Solomon to be king. And David granted that. Okay? He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say to thee. And she said, Say on. Thou knowest the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I should reign. Okay? That was the reign, that was the kind of motion of the people. They was going to let a new king, which was going to be Adonijah, to be king. Okay? But Bathsheba decided that Solomon was going to be king. She think she made a good choice? Who knows? Who knows? And all Israel set their faces on me that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about. He's become thy brother's, for it was from the Lord. It was his from the Lord. Okay? So the Lord wanted Solomon. Now I ask one petition to thee, deny me not. She said unto him, What do you want? I pray thee unto Solomon the king, for he will not say it nay to you. In other words, Mama, if you go ask him, he'll listen to you. You ever heard that phrase before? That's what he's saying. Would you go and say that I could have Abishag the Shunamite wife? And Bathsheba said, Well, I will speak for thee unto the king. Well, guess what? Bathsheba turns the words around a little bit. And when she goes to King Solomon, what she says is not what he requested. He goes on and says about it. She said, Let Abishag the Shunamite be given to Adonijah, thy brother, to wife. King Solomon answered and said to his mother, And why do you ask Abishag the Shunamite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also? So Solomon's mad at his mama now because she has made this request and said, I guess you want to give him the kingdom too. Can't you see the family quarrel going on here? I mean, it's just like today, you know, the doors are closed and you can hear the fussing inside and you can listen to the wind. And Solomon and his mama Bathsheba having quite an argument. But it was Bathsheba that had given Solomon the kingdom's right. And she's just making a simple request. But the wording wasn't exactly what it should be. For he is my elder brother. Okay, so being the elder brother means that he probably should have had the kingdom, correct? Except God chose Solomon. And for Abiathar the priest of Joab the son of Zeruiah, then King Solomon swore by the Lord, Go do so to me and more also of Adonijah, have not spoken this word against his own life. Now, therefore, as the Lord lives, which has established me and set me on the throne of David, my father, and who has made me a house, as he promised Adonijah, shall he be put to death this day. And so, Solomon didn't take it that way. He thought he was edging his way into the kingdom rather than just making that simple request, probably simply because Bathsheba used the wrong tone or wrong something, but it didn't suit well with Solomon. And so Solomon had his brother killed. Okay? Now, whose fault was it? Was it Bathsheba? Well, let's go back and let's see if we can walk through the whole thing about Bathsheba's life. Okay?
You got to put the blame in terms. I thought he wanted to ask the brother for this other woman.
He did. That's all he wanted.
And he killed him for that?
He thought he wanted the kingdom. And so he didn't want his brother killed. Okay. Man, I I tell you what, these are ruthless people. I don't care what you say, they're just a bunch of ruthless people. Make somebody mad, they just take out guns and shoot you. They didn't have guns, they didn't have guns. But going on back, we come to the king who was supposed to be at war, but he wasn't. He woke up from his bed, maybe he's having a nap, he walked up on the roof. And he just so happened to walk up on the roof, and he had some good neighbors. And one of his neighbors happened to be Bathsheba. Now he's not looking far off, he can see this very plainly. And the look turned to lust. Now we've heard this story before. You remember it happened with Eve, right? The look turned to lust and said, I'm lusting after that, I got to have that. And then we know the celebrated events where he actually had Bathsheba's husband killed in battle. One of his truer friends, one of his closest warriors. But he wanted his wife, and so he had him killed. And he thought he had everything closed up and nobody would know. Now, Bathsheba, in my opinion, was very innocent in all of this. She was thrust into the queenship, and she did the best she could. But she also suffered much tragedy because of David's sin. Kind of like the story I told one time. You know, David's walking up on the rooftop, and he looks over there, and he sees Bathsheba. Now, how clear was the view? Who knows? But he saw something he liked. There was a lady one time called the local sheriff and said, "Sir, if you need to come down here, there's somebody skinny dipping in my creek." "All right, I'll come take care of it." So he comes up and said, walks and looks out the kitchen window and says, "I don't see anybody in your creek. You can't see them from down here. You got to go up to the base, upstairs to the bedroom window." So walked up there. I still don't see him. Of course you can't see him. You got to push his chest over to the window. Then when you stand on the Sunday, you can see him real plain, skinny dipping. So you get that idea. So he is the one that's creating this, okay? And it all started with an innocent look, but it all started basically because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, okay? Laziness and laxity in the Lord's work creates a lot of problems for a lot of people, okay? So this is what happened. The most celebrated tragedy of the Old Testament, a man after God's own heart. So he enters into play date, okay? He's going to have the wife of his greatest fighter. He's going to have Uriah killed. And all of this kind of took place. He said, now I can come and take her as my wife, and I'm going to really have everything I want. Most beautiful woman in the king. She must have been a knockout. I mean, you know, we don't have pictures, we don't know. That was play date. So you have to remember something though. If you for a moment decide play day is what you want, always remember there's payday coming. Okay? 2 Chronicles talks about the death of Uriah. And he never gets away from the ghost of the past. If you read Psalm 60, Psalm 6 and 38, 39, and 41 and 02, it says that God, because of the sin that he had done that nobody knew about, that God actually cursed David with leprosy. He was given leprosy because of this sin. Okay? And then you come to chapter 12 of this particular chapter, and you see Nathan coming on the scene. This is one of the most celebrated confrontations in all the Bible. When Nathan comes in, it tells a story about the man that took the little lamb and killed him. And David was very angry, said, "I won't know who this is, I'll kill him myself." And then Nathan said, "You're the man, David. You took Uriah's only beautiful wife when you had 1,000 of others. You took her and you killed him." Okay? At that particular time, David begins to lose control. He has no control over his family. Everything starts spiraling. From that moment on, from chapter 12, when the verdict comes down, Nathan said, "The sword's not going to depart out of your house. You're in trouble, David. Everything is going sour for you because the sin is in your heart and it's taking everything away from you." What happens next is he has a beautiful daughter by the name of Tamar. She has a half-brother named Amnon that says, "I want to have sex with you." And so she says no, he forces this on her. Okay? And out of that relationship comes an unwanted child. But Absalom finds Amnon. He says, "You've done this to my sister." He kills Amnon, his half-brother. And then Absalom becomes a rebellion. It goes on and on and on. Okay? If you read 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 1 and 2, which we're not going to do because we don't have time, there was a fellow by the name of Ahithophel, who was a prophet and was a friend of David. But guess what? He started siding with was Solomon. And I'm not Solomon, he started Solomon, Absalom. And when Absalom started to overthrow the kingdom and throw David, see, that's where his trouble started. It blossomed from Tamar to Amnon being murdered. Now Absalom wants to be king, and on and on and on. And guess what? Ahithophel ended up being killed. Now, why is that such a tragedy for Bathsheba? Because it was Bathsheba's grandfather. Actually, he didn't. He saw that he had lost. Ahithophel was a friend of David, but for some reason or another, he sided with Absalom. But when Absalom got beat, Ahithophel saw that he'd lost everything, and he went out and killed himself. That's exactly what happened. Okay? And it was Bathsheba's grandfather. So, tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. Okay? Chapter 13 comes. There is no rest in his life. There's a rest from wars, no rumors of wars, all going on around him. Trouble after trouble after trouble. And David has no control. He has no control of his kingdom. He has no control of his family. He has no control of the nation around him. On top of that, he becomes sick. Okay? Chapter 16, he becomes disgraced with Bathsheba. Okay? This led to his depression. Okay? Now, what caused the disgrace? The wagging of tongues. You see, people have always been people. And everybody learned the rumor. Hey, he's got Uriah's wife illegally. He took her. He had her. He had children with her. And blah, blah, blah. Now, listen, you could have took out an ad in the Daily Gazette. Everybody in the kingdom knew it. Everybody was talking about the sin of David. So here there was a great man, this great king that everybody loved because he was a tremendous man of God. But now he's been disgraced. And what brought the disgrace upon him was the wagging tongue. Just like James said, you cannot tame the tongue. And that proved to be true. Okay? All right, what happened next? Well, then grief come into his life. He's told in verse 33 of chapter 18. Somebody read that for me. 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 33. Somebody read it.
The king was deeply moved and went up to the chamber of the gate and wept. And as he went, he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son."
So he has unrest, he has grief, he has disgrace, now he has grief because his son is dead. All of his family's dying out. Everybody's fighting everybody. Then you come to chapter 19, and Joab, who is the captain of his army, David has fear now. He's afraid that Joab is going to take over everything. Now, if you would read Psalm 44:1, you kind of see a little bit of what's going on here. Okay? Now, before Bathsheba, and she's the focus of our sin, before she came into his life, okay, look at all David had done. He killed Goliath. He killed the bear. He killed the lion. He killed the Philistines. He was doing so much until Bathsheba. Okay? And now he's a soldier that cannot find any peace in his life whatsoever. Okay? Now, this particular time, he's old and he's dying. But Bathsheba's trail of blood, or let's say David's trail of blood, is still in play. He's not there to see it, but here Solomon is continuing the blood all of the family when he kills Adonijah. So much heartache and so much tragedy. And Bathsheba was all alone there. She was in the king's castle. She was the queen. What all she did, we don't know. How innocent she was, we have no idea. But she suffered along with him because she lost her grandfather. She lost the son that she really liked, which was the firstborn of David and Bathsheba. Then she lost Adonijah. And it just never seemed to end. From that point on, the one that she had put into power, which was Solomon, became the last king of the United Kingdom. Okay? Because when Solomon, we all know about what happened to him. He went astray. He went after other wives. He took them, and they became a part of his harem. And when they became a part of his harem, he took his mind and heart off of God, and he started loving the things of the world, and that cost him the greatest dynasty that Israel has ever known, which was the Davidic dynasty. she was still alive. Did she try to advise Solomon not to do this? We don't know. We have no idea. And I can't find anywhere where Bathsheba dies. If you can find it, let me know. It may be in there. But somewhere along the line, Bathsheba just lost everything that she had had with David. We know that David lost everything. Any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
You said that somewhere in there, that David, someone else brought it on David.
Do what now?
You know, just understand.
Say that again.
You said somewhere in that discussion that she was brought it on David or something. It's the big point.
God spoke the words. The prophet Nathan pronounced the judgment. The sword will never depart out of your house because of the sin that he had done. And that's where it all started spiraling out of control, that he lost his entire family. The little baby died. Amnon raped his daughter. What was the daughter's name? Yeah, Tamar. Then Absalom killed Amnon. And then Absalom was killed by Joab. And then Adonijah was killed by Solomon. And it's just all family related. Because he took her as his wife. Okay.
Couldn't she say no?
No.
Or why couldn't she? She was already married.
Well, y'all answer that for him. You don't say no to the king, do you?
See, her husband was killed, and she had some.
No, but back up a minute. Before that, I talked before that.
You don't say no to the king.
You told a lady is married, she got to say no to the king.
It's
I'm
different than
asking,
the
yes,
president.
no, that's all.
But listen, you and I never lived in a kingship, okay?
Right.
If you learned how the kings and the castles and everything, you never displeasured the king in anything. If the king, if the king said jump, you said how high. And so, yes, sir.
Listen to the radio, every time I'm home, we was talking about over there, country down, people, they promised to marry before they even born.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it didn't. This woman was talking about her friend married somebody that she fell in love with, and she married a man she was supposed to marry. They found her, they put her in a room, and she stayed in the room for a while, and for months or so, and then took her out for a long walk, and her father and uncle killed her, and there, and this is late, and then things like that still happen today.
Absolutely.
One lady just
Absolutely.
fell asleep on the outside of her house,
Absolutely.
and her father killed her because he changed her.
Absolutely. In those countries, right, if anybody's committed adultery, they'll kill the woman. If anybody is accused of being gay, they are stoned to death in Iran and those kind of things. What you're probably talking about is more of the Arabian thing. I don't think the Israelites do that. I don't think they do that. But the Arabians do it very much so. Yes, they kill each other. Right? It's very ruthless. A lot have to change. In Saudi Arabia, the women are not even allowed to walk beside the men. They just now give them the privilege to drive cars over there. They live in a kingship. They live in a kingship. But what if the king votes, you die, you die. And there's no question about it.
If you read in there, he's got to be controlled.
So I don't know how innocent she was. She is a character in the Bible. I just told you all the places where you'll find her. And you can make your own judgment about, how innocent or how evil she was. I don't really know. I think she was saved. I think she knew the Lord. I think, she had a godly influence on Solomon to a point. But how much influence did she have when he became king? We don't know.